Jamie Dimon has been against Bitcoin for years, and we know it's because it's the one technology that can overthrow his reign as the leader of the global banking cartel.
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
JPMorgan is in fact one of the largest criminal enterprises in the world. Is Jamie Dimon making these statements publicly so he can manipulate the price of Bitcoin like he's done for silver and gold for years? They have a track record of acting illegally in the markets because they simply pay the penalties, which are less than the profits that they make for the crimes they commit. JPMorgan's plan is to profit and suppress the price of Bitcoin while simultaneously rolling out their own JPMorgan blockchain. Their plan is to surveil, curtail, and control transactions. We'll break down the master plan. This is Dante Coke with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go. Yesterday morning, people woke up more pissed than parlay bettors when Saquon slid instead of running for a touchdown. And that's because the markets themselves opened uglier than the Eagles versus Packers game. But thanks to Jim Cramer, Bitcoin's price has jumped more than 5% since he made this tweet. But let's get into the real segment for the day, the 60-minute episode that came on just after my Eagles beat the Packers.
Bitcoin itself has no intrinsic value. It's used heavily by sex traffickers, money launderers, ransomware. So I just don't feel great about Bitcoin. I applaud your ability to want to buy or sell it, just like I think you have the right to smoke.
That's rich coming from Jamie Dimon, whose bank has paid over 281 fines totaling over $40 billion since 2000. Let's take a look at what some of these crimes are. Toxic securities abuses, fraud, banking violations, anti-money laundering deficiencies, price fixing. They're public abusers of the system because it's profitable. But the media has been purchased, and they will continue to use some of the same exact narratives to denigrate open, free, transparent technology like Bitcoin in light of what their current system is, a system of theft, corruption, and fraud. And when you hear these same tropes over and over and over again, like they're reading from a script, you have to ask yourself, why? Listen to the same exact narrative from Andrew Ross Sorkin with Gary Gensler about Bitcoin's only use case being for fraud and anti-money laundering.
That's true, though. This is how much has been money laundered with Bitcoin. This is how much. This is Bitcoin. This is dollar.
Yes, Joe. Look, here's the Jamie Dimon quote. The only true use case for it is for criminals, drug traffickers, money laundering, and tax avoidance. I know, but we have a guest.
That's his opinion.
We have a guest, Joe. What is your opinion? And what is your opinion that we have something trading on the exchange for the public that has this type of use case, at least as described by the president of one of the largest
leading market
financial institutions in the country?
It's the leading market share in ransomware, and that's publicly known.
Right.
It's the token of choice for ransomware.
Joe Kernan was right. Less than 1% of all Bitcoin transactions are used for money laundering, yet 2 to 5% of global transactions are used for the very same thing, using other currencies like the dollar. The primary token of choice for money laundering is the US dollar, and the primary platform, the current banking system. Remember last year when TD Bank in Canada was fined $3 billion for money laundering? But it's estimated that they made $10 billion in profit. So you subtract their $3 billion fine and you get a $7 billion profit. Their automated anti-money laundering system just so happened to miss 92% of transactions and 74% of transaction volume, which totaled to 14.6 billion transactions and $18.3 trillion. How do you miss that much? The answer is pretty simple. You do it intentionally. Walter White and Skylar's currency of choice wasn't Bitcoin. It's the dollar, Jamie. It's pretty easy to see what you're doing, Jamie. You're trying to manipulate the price of Bitcoin just like you've done with gold and silver. Many people don't know that JPMorgan is the custodian for the SLV Silver Trust. They paid one of the largest then fines in finance history of $920 million for manipulating the price of silver by spoofing the markets, placing fake dummy orders and never executing them, and profiting off of long or short trades on the back end when the price ripped one way or the other. Their largest trader, Michael Nowak, is in jail currently.
You can see a $920 million fine by the Justice Department to JPMorgan for manipulating the silver market, the largest fine they've ever handed out, ever, and yet their head trader, Michael Nowak, who I've met before, is in prison right now for doing this, and yet they're still allowed to be the custodian of the world's largest silver trust, along with BlackRock.
And they actually have a history of doing this same thing with Bitcoin. Take a listen to this clip.
On September 12th, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JPMorgan. And that's not illegal.
He says it's a fraud.
It says he'll fire anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
Right.
I believe that their end game is to suppress the price of Bitcoin while simultaneously rolling out their own blockchain technology, JPM Coin, or as they've rebranded it now, Consensys. But before we get to the end game, let's get to our sponsors. If you've been around long enough in Bitcoin, you've heard the term HODL, which means to never sell your Bitcoin. And you've also probably heard of Ledn, the global leader in Bitcoin lending. Since 2018, Ledn has processed over $6.5 billion worth of loans to tens of thousands of people to help them unlock liquidity from their Bitcoin without having to sell it. The loan process is simple. It usually takes about 2 minutes to complete. And the process after that is even simpler. You post your Bitcoin as collateral, and they post dollars to your account or your local currency in less than 24 hours. They lay out the loan in a straightforward, intuitive, and easy to understand manner so you don't get rug pulled. They're one of the first digital lenders to do a proof of reserves test. Unlock liquidity from your Bitcoin without selling your Bitcoin by going to ledn.io/borrowing. And our second sponsor, who's here to help you not get rug pulled, is the Bitcoin Way. They exist to help you remove all counterparty risk from third-party exchanges who, at some point in time, will say, you can't remove or retrieve your Bitcoin from our exchange. Members of their team will walk you through proper 100% self-custody step-by-step so you can remove all counterparty risk, stop sharing your keys with third parties like exchanges, and ensure you protect your generational wealth the right way. Go to thebitcoinway.com and schedule a free 30-minute consultation with their team.
With eCoin equal to $1, it'll free up the economy.
It's unconstitutional. You can't make your own currency. That is the federal government's job.
With eCoin, we control the ledger and the mining servers. We are the authority. I will make sure you have visibility into every single wallet that's open, every loan, every transaction, which means we can start making new assets, which means we can start rebuilding the banking sector. Problem here is hard cash is fading rapidly. That's just the way of the world right now. And Bitcoin is spreading, and if Bitcoin takes over, we are all in a world of hell.
If you've been around the space for long enough, you'll notice that Jamie Dimon always says that Bitcoin has no use cases, but blockchain is the real technology. Why is that?
Blockchain is real. It's a technology. We use it. It's going to move money. It's going to move data. It's efficient. Cryptocurrencies, there are two types. There's a cryptocurrency which might actually do something. Think if a cryptocurrency has an embedded smart contract in it, and that we can use it to buy and sell real estate and move data. That may have value.
The idea of tokenizing things.
Tokenizing things that you do something with. And then there's one which does nothing. I call it the pet rock, the Bitcoin or something like that.
When you dig a little deeper, you understand their end game. You understand that they're going to profit off of blockchain technology. Many people don't know this, but Bitcoiners do. JPMorgan is one of the largest and biggest investors in the largest blockchain technology company called Consensys, which is the owner and primary driver behind the largest cryptocurrency wallet called MetaMask. They own almost 10% of the company, and we believe it's because they want to profit and have the ability to control, curtail, and surveil transactions for people using blockchain technology globally. They had to get in this investment round because they couldn't co-opt Bitcoin, which is free, open, decentralized technology. And since 2020, they've been hard at work building their own blockchain technology and integrating it with some of the largest payment networks in the world like MasterCard and Visa and other large banks around the world. They want people to settle in their JPM Coin, which they've now rebranded this whole group to Consensys. Their tagline is distributed ledger technology that you can trust. Consensys and JPM Coin are just a psyop to control, curtail, and surveil transactions, and to get a piece of all profits flowing through their system. We don't trust you. We don't want to trust you. That's the whole point of Bitcoin, was to remove trust from third-party centralized entities like JPMorgan. Why would we trust a bank who's been in the middle of one of the largest global criminal enterprises of all time?
What do I think about Jeffrey Epstein's banker being concerned that a distributed, decentralized, open public money could potentially be used for bad things. I don't really care. I don't know why anyone cares, right? I mean, that guy knows when money's used for bad things. So it's a weird opinion of his. And my pet rock was up, as you said, 160% last year. It performed well against the dollar. So I don't know. I don't really care what that guy has to say about Bitcoin. I don't know why anybody does.
The CEO, Franklin Templeton, explains the use case for Bitcoin so well here.
I was a skeptic of it initially, but a couple things people said to me. One, somebody who lived in Israel said, my parents and grandparents had their money taken away by the government. They will always keep a portion of their savings in Bitcoin. And then I had actually an employee who lived in the Middle East and said, if I say the wrong thing, I can have my accounts frozen. So I always keep a percentage of my earnings in Bitcoin. And obviously in the kind of key, because they can keep it protected. So if you grow up in a society where you feel your money's safe, you think that doesn't make any sense. And why should this external currency come in? But if you actually think that there's a lot of the world that would like that safety and control, you can see where Bitcoin has a lot of opportunity.
Bitcoin is needed because people don't want their money confiscated by their government or their bank without their will or without their consent. And that's why they keep a portion of all of their money in Bitcoin. JPMorgan's plans will fail because Bitcoin is freedom technology, an open source freedom virus that you can't stop. You can try to manipulate it in the short term, but unlike gold and unlike silver, we can verify all of the Bitcoin on the blockchain and we can verify all of the transactions that are happening. This will prevent the same fate that happened to silver and gold of happening in Bitcoin. But when you hear these same narratives, these same clips and quotes being played out over and over and over again across these media platforms, you have to ask yourself, why is it so scripted and why are they saying these same things? There are a bunch of people who know that the game is up, and those people are coming down to Dallas, Texas from April 3rd through April 6th to the BitBlockBoom conference, where you can hear from some of the greatest speakers in Bitcoin, like Guy Swan, Parker Lewis, Marty Bent, Bob Burnett, Gary Leland, and me. You can learn about buying your first Bitcoin or taking it off of exchanges or mining Bitcoin at home through exclusive workshops, and you can connect with some of your favorite Bitcoiners in real life at exclusive parties like the Saturday Casino Night. All of this is included in your all-inclusive ticket, which you can get $100 off by entering the promo code BBB25 at BitBlockBoom.com. That's the promo code BBB25 at BitBlockBoom.com. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Subscribe to the channel if you find value in this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about what you think JPMorgan and Jamie Dimon's master plans are, and if they're trying to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. Happy stacking.